I want to just talk about the culture of your church because what you've built is so intentional.
You know, when we started Grace City Church, for us, the tension is excellence and grittiness. I want it to feel good. And then I also want there to be a little bit of pliability and flexible. Right. We are an equal opportunity offender. Like, we're trying to offend everybody, all of us. So we don't cherry pick. We're stepping on all the toes, and where it applies and where it convicts, we're going to let it convict us.
I actually think a leader rises or falls based on the effectiveness of their calendar. How do you create healthy rhythms?
You're going to disappoint somebody. Make sure you disappoint the right people.
If you're going to frustrate someone, don't frustrate your kids.
I think there's a lot of other guys like, man, you're still in the oven, bro. Like, let it cook. Those cookies are soft. Let it cook. Build a great youth ministry.
Right.
Build a great young adult ministry. Like, don't even think about that. I would rather have people come to Grace City and go, this is bigger, faster, stronger than it looks on social media, than the other way around.
What do you think the pitfalls that are out there right now?
I think the biggest pitfall I see, especially, I'll say church leadership.
Hey, welcome to Made for More. My name is Aaron Burke. I'm so glad you're joining us on this month's episode. I have loved the conversations we've had over the last few months where my wife has joined us on this podcast, and it's been fun to learn all things when it comes to leadership and marriage and all those conversations. If you missed any of the episodes, check them out. But today, I am joined with Pastor Andrew Gard. He leads one of the great churches in the state of Florida. Been a friend of mine for a long time, and I want you to give a little bit of what you and Christine have built, kind of why you built it. I think it's awesome. And then we're going to talk all things culture. They have one of the great cultures, church cultures, that I think is so intentional. And then we'll talk about a little bit of durability and leadership. So Andrew, welcome. Tell everybody a little bit of your story.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Christina and I, we planted Grace City Church in Lakeland, Florida, 10 years ago. It's crazy how fast 10 years can go.
This flies.
And it's been amazing. I'm originally from the Pacific Northwest. Christina's originally from Alaska. Right. And about 15, 16 years ago, actually, Southeastern University brought us down, and I was the campus pastor at SEU for a handful of years, and then we kind of stepped out in faith, and much like Radiant, you know, this thing starts in our living room with about 50 people, and by the grace of God, we're still a church, we're still a thing, and so that's always good, and so now we're in the process of, you know, building a building and all that kind of stuff, which carries with it a whole new set of complexities that we're learning and growing through. And but it's been a really, really fun journey. And then my wife is a professor at Southeastern as well, and is a doctorate in psychology. And so I get free counseling whether I want it or not. I get it. And we have two children, twins, 7-year-olds, Adriana and Justice, boy-girl twins. Awesome. And yeah, man, we're enjoying life in Central Florida.
I love it. I want to just talk about the culture of your church because what you've built is so intentional. And did you know at the very beginning, this is what I want to do? How have you protected that over the years? I mean, even with growth, I feel like seeing Grace City, I mean, it's grown incredibly large, but it's the same. I feel like, you know what I mean? From the beginning. And I'm just like, it's so admirable. So how have you done that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, you know, when we started Grace City Church, we knew that for us, the tension is excellence and grittiness. I think for me, if you were to talk about the ethos and culture of Grace City Church, I think that's oftentimes what people would think is I want it to be excellent. I want it to feel good. I want the culture to be strong. And then I also want there to be a lot of bit of pliability and flexibleness to our church. And so, you know, when you're starting out, it's pretty easy because your church has to be flexible based on venues or, you know, we were meeting in this 100-year-old Presbyterian church and God really moved and we were adding a service like every 4 to 6 months. We're adding a service and adding a service and adding a service and we're doing 5 services all on Sunday and we're going. And so our church is really flexible. Grace City Church has never been a convenient church to go to. The parking's terrible. Getting in and out is rough, even to this day. And I think in some ways it's really, really helped us kind of stay gritty. My actual biggest fear right now that I'm like, okay, we're getting ready to go into this nice new building and going, how do we do that? And I think the pulpit really drives the culture. I think what you talk about and how you talk about those things. And then the other thing that has been very huge for us is our Grace City College, which we started about 1.5 years into the church. And that's really been where we raise up leaders. It's where, in fact, most of our staff, and we're still only a 10-year-old church, but most of our staff have went through Grace City College. Yeah. And so I think that helps a lot too. We are very inbred. We are very homegrown.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you keep the culture is that, we're not putting stuff on a website going, hey, we're looking for a video editor.
Right.
We're just going, who's around, who's editing videos right now?
Yeah.
All right, time to bring them on.
Let's talk about those cultural distinctions, because when it comes to what you're preaching and what you're doing and what you're trying to build, like what would you say some of those things that you go, man, these are cultural distinctions of what we've built?
Yeah, I mean, I think a culture of worship. We're a house of worship, so we're gonna go after that. We're gonna write songs. We're gonna lean into that. And I mean, we came out with our first EP the day we launched the church.
That's crazy
because it was such a value of ours, and it helps
Right.
when you got Chase Wagner and Johnny Pena
Right.
and these Michael Delgados, the people that God has allowed to come through. And so I think we're a house of worship. We're a house of leadership development, and so that has always been a priority to us. We use the term, we're a teaching hospital. So some hospitals are set up to where you're going to have people come in and we're going to show you how to do it. Now, it's going to make your context a little messy, but I think we're just okay with that. We're okay with giving leaders chances, having to coach it. Man, I wish they wouldn't have said that in that pastoral care meeting. I wish they wouldn't have done that. But that's okay. We're good with that. And then the other thing, too, from a preaching dynamic, is that we are an equal opportunity offender. Like, we're trying to offend everybody, all of us. So we don't cherry pick, whether it's political parties or whether it's young, old. It's like, guys, we're stepping on all the toes, and where it applies and where it convicts, we're going to let it convict us. And I don't ever feel boxed in. And I think that's been something that has been the culture kind of from the very beginning.
Let's lean into leadership development. We got leaders watching this right now. We got staff members watching this right now. I want us to talk about even what you mentioned today with our staff, just being a durable leader. I mean, leaders quit too quick.
Yeah.
Let's talk through some of those principles, even that you talked about. Leaders watching this, how do I stay this thing for the long haul? What would you say?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One is you have to know what you signed up for. Right? Jesus said, no one goes to build a house without counting the cost. And so I think a lot of times, we're going, man, I want that position, or man, I want to go for that. And we'll pray to God even. And then we'll get that position and forget that he answered our prayer. Like, this was the very thing that we wanted. Guys like you and I were praying 25 years ago, God, use me, use me, use me. And God's using our churches. And then we get upset when people are critical of us. And it's like, no, this is what I prayed for.
Right.
I prayed for influence. We prayed for impact. We prayed to make a difference. Oftentimes, though, we just don't pray with the downside in mind.
Right.
We only pray looking at the upside, and life is trade-offs.
Yeah.
Life is trade-offs. So every prayer answered has a downside that you have to deal with as a leader. So I just think you got to remember that, man, you prayed for this, you wanted this. And then I think the other thing is, I think it's just always important to remind yourself that, man, okay, if I'm in it for the long haul and there's no out, it's like a marriage. It's like a good marriage.
Yeah.
If we're in it for the long haul and divorce is not an option, then our only option is to figure it out.
That's really good.
So as a leader, if I just plant my flag there, I'm a leader.
Right.
God has called me to this. I didn't call myself. Okay, so my only option at that point is to figure it out. And so some of that is I figure out healthy rhythms. So you got to know your calendar. We talked about that today with the team. Monday through Sunday, what does it look like? I think every leader should have a general skeleton of what a normal week looks like, and then allow variations based on weeks and stuff like that. I think most leaders, man, we're just kind of floating.
Right.
And it is very, very difficult to endure. It's kind of like even ultra marathons have a finish line. Right? So even people that at our church, your church, that go, man, I'm an ultra marathoner, and they went out and ran 50 miles, they still know a finish line, even if it's insane. Right. Nobody would go out and run a race if we said, you're going to run and we'll tell you when to stop. You can't run a race like that. You wouldn't know how to train. You wouldn't know how to pace yourself. You wouldn't know what to do. You wouldn't know when to hydrate. You wouldn't know when to snack. And so I think a big thing is creating those finish lines. Sometimes it's daily finish lines, weekly finish lines, things of that nature.
I love that. All right, I want you to talk about the relationship with your wife, because you said this beautiful analogy that is so good. It's like you've made a commitment to her, and you don't have to win it over. You don't have to keep winning. And I've never heard this perspective before. But how many times do we get in meetings again and we go, reaffirm, God, am I called?
Right.
Give me a word.
I need a word.
I need a word. And you were talking about this morning. I was like, this is brilliant insight.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have to continually win over my wife. Like, we're in this thing. We're in a covenant for life.
Yeah.
Explain that idea when it comes to leaders.
I don't need a word. He gave me a word.
He gave you a word.
I don't need a word. I got one.
Right.
That's why I'm here.
Right.
And I think, there's this whole thought that it would be exhausting. When you first start dating, the person that would become your spouse, you feel like every date, it is all riding.
Right.
It's just all on the line. All the chips are in the middle. You're like, don't say something stupid.
Right.
How's my breath? And so, for the first month, 2 months, 3 months, it feels like there's a lot on the line. That would be an exhausting way to have a marriage.
Right.
If I felt like, and it doesn't mean that you're not trying for your spouse, it doesn't mean any of that, but it just means my wife doesn't have to win me over in every season. I've seen my wife at her best and I've seen her at her worst. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't have to win me over in every season. I don't have to win her over in every season. And I think a lot of times in leader, it's like we're making the Lord win us over in every season.
Right.
And it's like, he shouldn't have to do that. And this is why I think you have so many leaders that flail out, is that the Lord didn't win him over in that season. It's like he shouldn't have to do that.
Right. But we've almost created that culture. We've created the culture where in every season we have to go, are you still committed? Are you still there? Are you sure? And it's weird.
It's really weird. And I think, again, I talked about this with the team too. I think, when we read the Bible, we just assume God's just audibly speaking to Abraham, all the time. And it's like, not, man, read the scriptures. It's like maybe 6 and at the most 12 times that God spoke audibly or even in a vision to Abram. And so he takes a word and he runs with it for decades.
Right.
And doesn't need another word from God. And I just think, I think we've become a little soft in our leadership to where like in every season, it's like, no, we know what to do. We know what God's called us to do. And I think we just got to stop putting it all on the line in every season. And I think we have to have that durability that says, no, I'm going to be a leader. When I'm 75 years old, if I'm still alive and should the Lord tarry, I'm still going to be leading in the house of God. It might look a little different. It might have played out different. My role might be different in our church, but I'm in.
Right.
He's got me.
Right. And you're not for sale. You're not sitting there going, okay, what's the next opportunity out there? Who can, and I think that is so vital for leaders. Just know, I know where I'm committed.
And your church, if you're a senior leader, people can tell.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
People can sense that. Like, I know guys that, man, maybe they were in one city. And in fact, when we launched Tampa, I had to spend 6 months telling Lakeland, I didn't use you to get to Tampa.
Right.
Christina and I are in Lakeland forever.
Right.
Lakeland is like the hub of Grace City Church. And it was like, people went, oh, because people can tell, man. They can sense that. And I think it was just, that was a part of our leadership journey of going, guys, like, I think people are used to being used.
Yeah, that's very true.
I think people are used to being leveraged. And I think as leaders, I think when you plant your flag and go, man, Radiant, man, this is going to be the church I pastor. Grace, this is going to be the church I pastor. I don't think it's a mystery why these churches are doing what they're doing is because people have the security to go, oh man, like, they're here. Like,
let's talk about senior leaders when it comes to, maybe they're leading an organization, leading a church. You talked a lot about rhythms today. Talked a lot about sprinting and jogging. Explain it. You even talked about the idea of having a finish line. I think that's good, what we're talking about. So how do you create healthy rhythms?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing I think is you're going to disappoint somebody. Make sure you disappoint the right people.
Right.
I mean, somebody's going to be frustrated with your schedule. I remember, so I'll use a real practical example. Something that I stopped doing years ago. We have a lot of young adults, as you guys do too, at our church. I could be doing a wedding every single weekend.
Yep, I know that world.
And so one of the things that I stopped doing when I do decide to do a wedding, I don't do rehearsals anymore. So I don't go to rehearsals. And sometimes people feel some kind of way about that. And usually people are gracious, but oftentimes what I'll just say is, hey, happy to do the wedding. Just so you know, I'm not giving up Friday night. So in our rhythm, Friday is like our Sabbath day. Sure. And then Saturday is like a partial day off. By the evening, I start getting it ready. But if I give up a Saturday to do a wedding, and then I also give up a Friday night to do a rehearsal, it's too much.
Right.
Because Saturday's the only day that my kids aren't in school and I'm not working. It's the only day. It's one day.
Yep.
So then if I'm going to give up a few hours on that day, it's like I'm not giving up Friday night too. Yep. So, and sometimes you have to explain that to people, but I'm okay with frustrating the right people.
Right. If you're going to frustrate someone, don't frustrate your kids.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think there's got to be a rhythm that is sustainable. And then you kind of have to be unapologetic about it.
Right.
You kind of have to say, hey man, and as long as you explain the why, most people are gracious. Most people are mindful. And the thing I've learned, especially in senior leadership, everything is an emergency to that person.
Right. Right.
Right? Have you ever had somebody reach out and they're like, we got to meet now. And then you sit down in the meeting and you go,
this didn't have to happen.
No, this could have been in 2 weeks.
Right.
This could have been next week.
Yeah.
This wasn't an emergency. And so I think that, you got to have to kind of gauge that.
And for those that are watching this that are frustrated that I didn't show up to your rehearsal, here's the reality is I know what I'm doing. I know my part.
I've done this a few times.
I've done this hundreds of times. I don't need to go to another rehearsal.
100%.
I stopped that years ago.
No doubt. Yep.
But I think that is so vital. How do you know when it's the seasons to sprint? Talk about your calendar, because you talked about that skeleton that's so important for those leaders. I actually think a leader rises or falls based on the effectiveness of their calendar. How do you make that work for you?
Well, this happens from two vantage points. If you're the senior leader, you have to set the pace of your team. So you have to study. You have to be aware. It's why, I study our numbers, not because I'm lamenting over our numbers, but so that I know when the sprint seasons are, so then I can then disseminate that to my team so that they know, hey guys, we're going to get a breather.
Yep.
We're going to get a breather. Here it is. But I need you to sprint then. If you're not the senior leader, your senior leader will help you. Yeah. Your senior leader. And then don't cling to what you think the pace should be. You got to adopt the pace of the senior leader of going, okay, this is a sprint season for them. The other thing that's really important too, as a senior leader, is you also have to understand different people on your team will have subtly different sprints and jog seasons. So for example, there are seasons where, let's say it's summertime, for example, and our worship team is writing an album. So they're writing an album, they're kind of sprinting, whereas maybe some other team, it's, okay, this is a breather. So as a senior leader, you got to be kind of acutely aware of that too, and adjust accordingly, that not every area on your team necessarily is going to be at the same
I made
place.
that massive mistake. I remember years ago, I announced to the staff, hey, we're going to the summer. I know this is so much of our breaks. We're all going to take a slow summer. And some of our teams talked about this, no, this is
we have summer
ministry.
camps.
We're in youth camp. Our creative team was going full on with at the movies and all these things. And they're like, just because it's a break for you does not mean it's a break for everybody.
Right.
And it is so important to navigate those things. Talk about the flow. How do you evaluate when it comes to family, taking time off?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you do that really well.
So again, we have a same rhythm, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all the way through. Our schedule is we have church on Sunday and then we work Monday through Thursday. Monday's not a day off for us. We kind of go Monday through Thursday, because by Monday I'm so tired, I don't want a day off. I want to wear sweats and a t-shirt and go in and return emails and stuff.
I agree.
And so I don't want to sleep half my day off. But by Friday I'm ready to kick it. Right. By Friday, I'm ready to go out. And so my kids go to school. I'll play golf every Friday morning by myself, headphones in, worship music in. It's like,
we talked about this in Colorado. I was like, we don't do enough things by ourselves. And you were saying that, how you play golf every week by yourself. I thought that was amazing.
Every Friday morning, I'm the first tee time, 7:30. I'm the first guy off, nobody in front of me, headphones in, worship music in. Playing golf. I play in about an hour and 45, 18 holes in about an hour 45, 2 hours.
It's amazing.
And it's highlighting my week. And then I pick up, we pick up our kids. We usually end up at Disney, or we're doing something fun on Friday night with the kids. And then Saturdays, we got sporting events, all that kind of stuff. And then by Saturday night, I'm looking over my message, and then kids are at church. Thursday nights are my date nights with Christina. That's kind of our Friday night. So we're out together every Thursday night, unless we're traveling. And so we're just consistent. I think so much of it is just consistency. And I think oftentimes people act like they can't get in a rhythm. And I think sometimes we just have nobody to blame but ourselves.
Yeah, that's very true.
Especially if you're the senior leader. Right. If you're the senior leader, it's like, man, you got to model this stuff for your team. Otherwise, if you can't do it, nobody can do it.
It's very true. It's very, very true.
And so Yeah.
I want to talk about leadership things that are happening in the world right now. Just in what do you see in young leaders or lead pastors and stuff right now that's just frustrating you? That's like I love to have these conversations. Like what do you think the pitfalls that are out there right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest pitfall I see, especially I'll say church leadership,
Let's do it.
is that you can build your own personal brand without building a great church.
It's very true.
And I want a great church.
Yep.
Because that's my actual life. That's where I really live.
Yep.
is with those people. And I think there's a lot of people that they know the algorithm and they have studied that more than the culture of their city. Than what the next step of their church. Right. They could school me in what I should be doing on social media. But I think that they're going to be found wanting in 10 years.
Right.
I think in 10, 15 years, that stuff's going to ebb and flow. That stuff's going to come and go. Your real life is the people you're getting up there in front of every week in and week out and your groups and developing leaders. And so I think that's my biggest frustration is I'm grateful that we got to put stuff out. And even before we planted, Radiant and Grace City, before we planted our churches, I'm glad that there were no clips from me preaching my first 4 or 5 years preaching.
Praise God.
And so I think you got a lot of YPs that are putting clips out, and it's like, guys, calm down, man. Right. You got 60 kids in your group. And I'm not saying I don't mean that in the numbers way. I just mean build a great youth ministry.
Right.
Build a great young adult ministry. Don't even think about that. And I think that's my, I would rather have people come to Grace City and go, oh, this is bigger, faster, stronger than it looks on social media, than the other way around.
It's very
And
good.
I think there's a lot of, because we've gotten so good at aesthetic.
Yep.
That, and I just think that's doing something to us on the inside.
It is.
I think it's doing something to us on the inside that is hard to measure, but you know it when you feel it. And so I just think that's one of my biggest frustrations right now.
And going back to the people know that you're shepherding, they know what you're trying to build. They can tell if you're trying to build an algorithm and try to build an online thing, or they're actually trying to build them.
They know it.
They can tell.
Yeah, and let that stuff be an outpouring of just what God is doing. Again, I'm not again. I mean, all my heroes have are doing stuff, but it's but a lot of these guys, it's like, man, these guys are doing it because they've built something. I don't know. It's working. And so people want to know about what God's doing at Radiant through you. It's working, so people need to know about it. I think there's a lot of other guys like, man, you're still in the oven, bro.
You're still in the oven.
Let it cook.
Let it cook.
Those cookies are soft.
Yeah.
And so let it cook.
All right, last 2 questions.
Yeah.
You've kept your staff for a long time. You keep some loyal people around you. How do you do it?
Keep the soul of what you're doing. I think keep the soul. It's you start chasing algorithms, and the people that are around you will think it's corny.
Yeah, they will.
They'll think it's whack. And so I think for me, exactly what you said, man, Grace City 10 years later, it still feels like Grace City. Now it's, bigger buildings and that kind of, whatever, but it still feels like Grace City. Mm-hmm. And I think that, just make sure you don't scale away from the soul of the thing. Mm-hmm. And that's art, not science.
Right.
But I think, I'm all into scaling. I just think sometimes we scale, and when we scale, we lose the very thing that made it special in the first place.
I think it's very
and I think the people closest to you, when it loses what it was originally, the soul of it, then they may or may not be there.
Yeah.
But as long as so Chase Wagner, our worship pastor, has been with me forever.
So
started SU Worship and is with me and came over to me when we started the church. He's been with me since he was like 15 years old. Literally, him and I are standing up in the upper seats of the new building that's 2 months away from opening, and I'm just smacking him on the chest, and we're just going, look at what the Lord has done.
It's amazing.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and with the same guys and
Right.
gals of kind of doing that stuff. So I just think it's reminding them. And if what we started to do started to lose the soul of what it was, Chase would probably be out.
Yeah, of course.
And so I think that's in part how we do it.
All right, last thing, there's a lot of leaders that are watching this, and they see you, they see what God's doing at Grace City, and they're discouraged. They're frustrated. They are having a hard time remembering that word that they got.
Yeah.
What's your encouragement just to help leaders get some durability, keep going even through tough seasons?
Yeah, I think two things. One is there may be some things that you could be doing that could help you do it better. So put yourself in the environments. Email those pastors that you admire from afar.
Yep.
Some will reach back, many won't. And that's okay. It doesn't mean make those guys bad guys. Everybody's busy.
Yep.
But figure out some of the things. There are some things that just work in any context. So there's that. Secondarily, we plant, we water, God makes things grow.
Yep.
I think we have so much less control over this than we actually, I just think we have less control than we think we do. And I think there are things that we can do that can help. And then it's just God's going to bring a harvest and God's going to do what he does. And I think that be very, very careful too that you're not watching social media because of exactly what I said earlier. I think people are good at aesthetic.
That's absolutely right.
And so I know there are some guys that think, oh man, everybody's church is thousands of people. It's like, no, do we know the stats?
Yep.
Average size church in America is like 60 people. It's like, so there's guys that I think are discouraged. I talk to guys all the time, I'm sure you do too, that they have a great thing going and they're discouraged.
Right.
And then I'll start to highlight the great thing they have going. And it's like, man, dude, your church is in the top 10%. Stop being overly discouraged because you're not in the top 1%. What are we talking about?
Right. Yep.
And so it'd be like an NBA player, being in the NBA, playing at the elite level and going, but I'm not SGA. Nobody's SGA.
Yeah.
And so I think that I think guys should probably feel more encouraged, honestly, than they probably are, because they probably got a good thing going. And so oftentimes when I meet with guys, I'll just ask them, what do you love about your church? Because I just think they got to start getting in that vein of going, I got a good thing going, actually.
I love that. Andrew Gard, you are a great leader. You're
Thanks,
a great
man.
pastor. I think there's probably some young leaders that are watching this that are going, I need to go to Grace City College.
Yeah.
Tell us about Grace City College.
Yeah, man. Grace City College is, it's where we raise up leaders. It's if you're 18 to 25 and you need to finish your bachelor's degree, come hang with us. It's gonna be cheaper than a private Christian school that you're gonna go to, and we're gonna lean into you, and then we're gonna see what God does with a generation.
You raised up some great leaders, Andrew.
Thanks, man.
Doing a good job. Y'all want to know more about Andrew Gard? Check out Grace City Church in Lakeland, Florida. Thanks for listening to this episode. Made for More. We'll see you next month.